Alrighty, so I'm going through all the tracks on my EP that I just dropped, and I'm actually starting with A Beautiful Liar because, at least chronologically, in terms of when I first started working on the song, this is my oldest one. So, a little bit of backstory. I bought this one back, I bought the vocal back in May 2021. So, this was right after April 2022. May 2022, right after April 2022, which is where I saw Said the Sky on tour for the Sentiment tour. And I remember, after I looked up when I bought the track, I'm like, oh yeah, I just wanted to make a song. I remember talking to Said the Sky and being like, just having all these ideas kind of, and I asked him how he did certain things, and we were talking like, it was the coolest experience, chatting with my favorite producer on how to produce and getting tips from him. And there's some stuff in here that I do in this track that I know that he's done with Millennium and some of their tracks, and it's so cool. The cool part about this is I'm also kind of rediscovering this song because, besides mixing and mastering, which has been mostly what I did in just mixing and mixing things, but I didn't really change anything. This is a big session. There's a lot of stuff in this. Oh my goodness, yeah, how many tracks are these? I didn't even see. But there's a lot. But I haven't really touched it since then. And this song has been relatively complete, just not mixed, not mastered. And that's pretty much all I did before releasing it. So yeah, it's pretty much a state of completion for several years at this point. So it's been kind of fun rediscovering oh yeah, I did that. That's something that I did many years ago, and it's been kind of cool. So yeah, let's start it. We'll start and then I'll talk through it. So you hear these pianos and this pad. So Labs is a free pad that just sounds so good. Kind of just gives that background texture to these pianos. And speaking of background texture, you get this omnisphere kind of really cool wind sounding thing. Sounds really cool. And then on the vocal, I keep my vocals pretty simple. When I buy them from the artist, they usually have, okay, so I was using the dry vocal, but I basically throw a little OTT on there, a little delay, and then this is just Valhalla room verb. Super simple. And nice, I played it at the one part. But yeah, it sounds great. Sounds really good. Artists usually by the time they sell you a vocal, it's already processed. So usually my vocal processing is pretty minimal. And then I think when I bought this vocal, it came with a MIDI clip of the piano. I don't remember which one it is because I remember I made my own as well, or I modified it. But the piano, this track was for, the artist was selling it for a house genre, and I think started off with the piano, and that's what I remember caught my ear. I remember when I bought the track, I'm like, oh, that's a cool sounding piano. It's a nice chord progression, and then I obviously did not take my track into a house direction, but I'm like, let's add some more pianos, let's add some pads, and let's kind of keep that as a core theme, and that's more on brand for my type of music. So really cool, really nice vocal, and then a ton of, you see this whole section is just vocal chops and harmonies and all this kind of stuff. So as we kind of go through here, so we got that quiet intro. Let's get into the build up here. So this was also the first time I messed with vocoding, so you could see this whole bit here. It's following this MIDI track. And that kind of builds up here with, this is the first time that I also used build-up synths. It's this guy here sounds so pretty. And I'm going to add in the claps too. And you hear it kind of crescendoing. and then the other synth comes in. Sounds so pretty. And then the drop, right? First time I've done something like that, and I remember being like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. Another first for me here was actually these guitars. So if we go back to that, like from the quiet section of that verse into kind of the, where the song kind of changes. So where it's just from piano, these guitars kick in. And this is all MIDI. So really funny story is back then I was a lot worse at guitar than I am now. And I'm still not great at guitar. I actually don't think I could really play acoustic guitar right now. Anyway, I play mostly electric, as you could tell with some of the tracks on the EP. But I really wanted an acoustic, part here. I just heard it. I'm like, I need something here. So I got this, the plugin to do it, and I don't even remember which one it was. Okay, so Fink. Yeah, like I said, it's been years since. I don't think I've touched it since. But I do remember this whole palm mute section and this percussion. It's kind of like there's a whole percussion from the guitar, and I remember being like, this is so cool. And it just adds to the build up here. That was really cool. I remember really liking that. And then jumps into the drop. Oh man. So the vocal, that reverb tail on the vocal there, the vocal chop. I want to do the vocal chops last because some really cool stuff there. But the main meat of the drop is actually pretty simple. Yeah, leads and saws. So if I very simple lead, and then the meat there with the saws, and then a really aggressive bass. That's when that note just punches you, especially later when the kicks cut out. It's awesome, yeah. So then all together with the saws and then the leads. And then my pretty on-brand trappy style drums that I make in pretty much most of my tracks, with these little sprinkly hi-hats that I love so much. I think I use these hats in 90% of my tracks. Love it. Alrighty, now we'll do the vocals. This is my favorite part. So the vocal chops are usually my favorite part to do in any drop, because a drop sounds so lame without them. Like, again, starting at the beginning, if I just kill the channel, it sounds okay. Then you add them in. Truly, vocal chops are just they make a drop. And that is something that I totally get from Said the Sky, from Millennium. They use vocal chops in so much of especially their older stuff. But let's dig into this one a little bit. Just playing it without soloing it out. And then just kind of repeats. These right here, I just got from the main vocal somewhere. I usually, when I make vocal chops, I kind of look for a part where they sing a melody, and then maybe I'll throw it through Melodyne or something. I'll chop it up and then extend it. I can't tell you my creative process on making vocal chops, because I literally just throw stuff at the wall and see what sounds cool, and then just add processing to it, add OTT, reverb, and then sidechain it. But yeah, that's the one thing that I've had people ask like, oh, how do you make vocal chops? And I'm like, I have no idea. Usually I make music at like 3 a.m, kind of like on brand, and I can't tell you the next day what I did, especially with vocal chops. But usually what I do, I'll just scan through the main vocal and find a little melody. If it sounds good, I'll keep it and then add some processing to it. But two really cool bits. So besides like the stuff I just pulled from the main vocal, there's this little beautiful lyre like thing that just happens, and that just kind of keeps the title of the song, kind of the theme, I guess, kind of going through it. But this right here, this little like melody is actually my voice that I pitched up. I pitched it up 12. If I bring it back down to 0. And that kind of just, it like glues in the other vocals. So you kind of hear that. And kind of like, melds it all together. I love that. So yeah, you could always use your own voice as an instrument when building drops or making music. And finally, like, this is actually one of the things that I learned from Said This Guy, and I think it's from his track that he made with Illenium. I think it's from Sad Songs. They do a similar thing where I have like the leads and I think the bass side chained to this vocal. So that what happens, and I think the saws doesn't look like they cut out yet. They cut out like right around. So basically it feels like it pulls the whole track into this vocal. Like imagine like this little clip right here is like a black hole that's just sucking everything into it and then spitting it all back out so that the drop continues. That's kind of what's going on. Looking at, so you could see here, I don't think I have it soloed, but if I play it, you'll see the sidechain compressor here just pulling in. Yeah, I see it kick in. So it was soloed, so if I unsolo it, you'll hear everything. The instrument's kind of, it's like it pauses kind of. What it's doing is it's ducking, right? It's reducing volume because of that compressor. So the different instruments are, and you feel that vocal just like punching through, and like it just really gives it that, like, it's just pulling in the whole song and then spitting it out. And that kick right after this vocal just punches really hard. So if you So super cool effect. You could use creative vocals and sidechain to give you some cool dynamics in your drop. I remember doing that and I'm like, this is so cool. I was so happy to, back when I made that. So that is mostly the drop. Into the second verse now, pretty much the same as the first. Just a little bit of percussion though, same pianos, but here, a lot of vocals. A lot of vocoding going on here, and then I use my voice as kind of like in these two clips here, and then I just panned it out wide to kind of give it more space, but it kind of just gives that overarching, I don't know, it's kind of like glue, but it also follows, if I unmute it, or let's see if I just play it all together, it follows the melody of the pad, whoops, and then the string. So I have Hans Zimmer strings here. You hear it following that melody. So my voice plus the pads plus the strings give a really cool effect. And then it kind of does a similar thing as the first verse. It kind of like, you still hear the vocoder. You hear the guitars again. But the swells here, I do some string swells here that I absolutely love. And so this might be my favorite part of the song, is these string swells that come in on the second build up. I love it. I absolutely adore this, and it sounds so good with everything. Absolutely adore it. Then everything else, pretty much the same. Just the strings kick in, That's the only thing that's different. Build up's the same. Build up synth is the same. And then obviously there's no kicks on, and there's no percussion on this first part of this drop. It's full instrumental and vocals, which is a really cool effect, but it's still sidechained. You could hear it using like ghost kicks if you pay attention. But right there, when that bass hits that low note, because there's no kick, I feel like it's even stronger. Yeah, like this note right here. It hits so hard. I love it. This is one of my favorite, notes or like chord changes or changes in the track, because it hits so hard. If you have like a subwoofer in your car, you crank your bass up a little bit, you feel it hitting you, because it's like the kick isn't distracting you from it, and it just punches you. It's so cool. And then you have that drum fill, and then drop as normal, and then you hear it kind of everything cut out and really quiet part, boom, and then kicks right back in. Yeah, it's using quiet in a song here, and then just filling it with this snare that just gives that like ambient texture. It's a cool way to use a silence and a drop to kind of add punchiness a little bit later. So it's a cool dynamic. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, it just plays it out, and everything else pretty much the same. The vocal just plays out, and then song over. Then song finishes just how it ends. Same piano, same pads, and then the pads get added right here at the end, and they kind of just phase out. So yeah, that's the session for Beautiful Liar. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. It's truly, I'm looking through this and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. That is how I did that. It's truly self-discovering it again. So it's a cool process, and this is a pretty cool song. I was very proud of it. This was probably I think it was the first song I made, like full song, after Alone. So I remember doing things in here that I learned off of Alone that I'm like, oh, I should have done it better there. So in a lot of ways, it's a little bit of a better Alone, kind of. I don't know. Maybe that's not a fair thing to say, but yeah, definitely some cool stuff going on here, and it was a fun track to build.